Yes, I know, I'm wearing glasses. Let's not talk about that. I just didn't want to put contacts in today. Kingsman: The Golden Circle is the newest entry in the Kingsman series, which with the ending of this one, I'm pretty sure they're bringing it back again for a third. In this one, the Kingsmen have to team up with the Statesmen after all of their headquarters are destroyed and the world is put in danger yet again. It's again directed by Matthew Vaughn and stars Taron Egerton, Colin Firth, and Mark Strong, but this time they're joined by some really big powerhouse Hollywood stars including Jeff Bridges, Channing Tatum, Julianne Moore, Halle Berry, and Pedro Pascal, with a couple little cameos from Elton John and Michael Gambon. The acting in this is superb, which is not surprising because it has so many great stars. Jeff Bridges, I wish was in this a little bit more. He didn't get any really cool action scenes or anything, but I think that's just Jeff Bridges' style. He's kind of laid back and doesn't really do action scenes. He's no James Bond, but I wish he got more lines or was in it a little bit more. Not necessarily he had more lines. He had some pretty good moving the plot forward dialogue, but I just kind of wish he was in this more. But based on the way the movie ended, I'm pretty sure they'll be doing a third one, and he'll probably be back for that. Hopefully they bring the gang all back together for the next one and they just keep building the cast up, kind of like the Fast and Furious franchise, but better. This is probably my favorite Julianne Moore role in recent memory. She is literally insane, off the wall character, and it was so cool to see her in a role like this. Not to mention, she is a pun master. She only gets to do a couple puns, but there's some pretty on-point puns and she delivers them very well. This is the second Channing Tatum movie in just as many months where somebody sings Take Me Home Country Road, which is kind of a spoiler, but not really a spoiler, but I just thought that was kind of a fun little tidbit. But Channing Tatum really isn't in this as much as the trailers led on to. From what I saw in a lot of the trailers, they really showcased Channing Tatum, Jeff Bridges, and Halle Berry and left Pedro Pascal to the side. I think that was on purpose though, because, slight spoiler alert, he plays a huge role in this movie, and I was really upset to see that they never really talked about him in the trailers. They kind of didn't even mention the fact that he's in this movie, and he just kind of plays this really big role, and I really enjoyed that they kind of kept that a little secret. But now it's not a secret because I spoiled it, but you know, it's not really a spoiler because we all know he's in the movie. But speaking of Pedro Pascal and his role in this movie, I really enjoyed him. I haven't seen very much that he's in. Narcos is at the top of my list to actually watch. But what I have seen him in, I really enjoyed, and this is one of those things I very much enjoyed him in. As usual, the Kingsmen were superb. Colin Firth, Taron Egerton, and Mark Strong. I really love their chemistry in this one and the previous one, and can't wait to see how it evolves even more in the probable third Kingsman movie. There were a couple little cameos here and there that I really enjoyed. It made me super happy to see Michael Gambon pop up, even if it was for a couple minutes. But I just got my little Harry Potter heart all of a flutter seeing Professor Dumbledore up on the screen again after so many years. And oh, Elton John. We'll get to you in a minute, but Elton John had probably my favorite cameo in this entire movie. Actually, probably my favorite cameo of all time. And then there's the guy that plays the president in pretty much every single movie, including this one. I'm pretty sure he's just typecast as the president, but I guess it was good to see someone who played the president. It would have been kind of funny, especially with the way the political climate is going now and the way this movie goes, to have, like, I don't know, Alec Baldwin play the president, you know? Something like that. It would have been pretty funny. Would have been very Kingsman-y. And now let's get to the meat of this video. This movie started off in a very Kingsman fashion with a huge bang and a great action sequence. This movie knows what it is and leans into it, but doesn't really exploit the fact that it's sort of a parody of action movies and things like that. But it very much embraces that and just really shows what action movies are like while giving you this great story and ride with amazing action as well. I know it was spoiled in the trailer that Colin Firth's character was coming back, and I kind of wish that they kept it a secret, but I know it kind of, they wouldn't have been able to do that as well with the rest of some of the trailers. But the way that they bring him back is really interesting and kind of cool in the way that they bring that back in. And they tie in one of the best scenes from the previous movie in kind of an interesting way without really showing that scene. They also have some great callbacks to the first movie, especially with the bar scene that they kind of hint at in the trailers, which is not as great as the original one, but I really enjoyed the way they cut it up and edited it between the fighting and then this little conversation to kind of give it the same flavor but a little bit different flavor. So like the first one was vanilla and this one was kind of a little bit different, like vanilla with chocolate syrup. You know, that kind of analogy works for you. Everyone's favorite scene from the first movie was probably that church fight scene. That was just an amazingly choreographed visual display between the camera and the actors and the visual effects people. They tried to remake that magic in the Golden Circle, but it did not live up to the amazingness of that scene in the Secret Service. I mean, it was very good. The action in this is top notch. Like, I know I talked about it in my John Wick review, which if you haven't seen it, go check that out. I know I said that most action movies don't have a great storyline. They just pound action at you. This one pounds action at you, gives you a great story and great comedy, and the church scene equivalent in this movie gives you all three of those. As always, there is bar none a better movie series to watch for pretty much the trifecta of a movie. And their church scene equivalent in this was pretty good, but there were a couple action scenes after that were even better. Like, the action scene directly after it had probably one of my favorite cameo experiences ever. And I think the reason that this one wasn't as great as the church scene is because it was pretty much completely spoiled in all of the trailers. If you've seen any of the trailers, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. That was supposed to be their big equivalent to the church scene, and it just didn't live up to my expectations. Plus, it was kind of spoiled with the trailers and stuff like that. But the scene right after that with Elton John was probably my favorite cameo in any movie ever. I mean, he's got a cameo throughout the entire movie. I guess he's not really a cameo as much as he's in the movie, but I would consider it a cameo because it's just really great and it's unexpected. I didn't really expect Elton John to be in this movie, and he just delivers knockout line after knockout line and one-liners and expressions, and it's just so funny to see Elton John acting this way. And like I said earlier, the church scene equivalent had a better fight scene after that, and that fight scene had an even better fight scene after that, which is like the big boss final battle. And it was just so knockout. That was the church fight scene equivalent in this movie, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. I really enjoyed that fight scene. Now, some final thoughts before I get to my score for this movie. I don't know if this movie was showing in 3D anywhere. The theater I went to wasn't, so I don't know for sure, but it definitely had a feel like it was made for 3D. There were things coming at the camera, and I'm pretty sure, if I can remember correctly, the first one did the same thing or something similar, but not as in your face, which the 3D in this, if it was 3D or something, kind of reminded me of when Spy Kids did their 3D, where it was just very in your face 3D, but kind of toned down. It kind of took me out, but at the same time, the action was so great. It kind of smoothed over and wasn't super noticeable at times, but other times it was. Like, you could see he just like reached for the camera to punch it, and yeah, it's things like that were kind of weird, but at the same time, there was more than enough action and hilarity to make up for that. And speaking of the action and story smoothing things over, this movie was 2.5 hours, but it definitely didn't feel like it because it just felt like smooth as butter. I can't express how much I love this movie as an action movie, or well, this whole like series as an action movie and a story and a comedic movie. Matthew Vaughn just blends everything so well together that it's hard to not just love it for everything it gives you. And now my final score. I would give Kingsman The Golden Circle an 8 out of 10. I feel like I give that to every movie. I would give this a 9 out of 10, but it's not just like superb quality like the first one was. The first one was so good, and I wish I had a chance to see it in theaters, which I didn't. I only saw it a couple months ago on TV. It still was amazing and blew my mind, and that one definitely has a 9 out of 10 in my book. This one could have stepped it up a notch to get that 9 out of 10, but I think if they had given Channing Tatum some action scenes, Jeff Bridges a little bit more, it would have kind of been up there a little bit more if they'd stepped up maybe some of the action scenes a little bit. It probably would have gotten up to a 9. But other than that, it's such a great movie. I really recommend going to see it if you get the chance. As always, these are just my thoughts and opinions, and I would love to know yours. So let me know what you think of Kingsman: The Golden Circle in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, whoever you are. I appreciate you. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I talk movies, TV shows, nerdy, fun stuff, and I would love for you to join me. So stick around, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!